In this video I wanted to have a look at the dev mode options that are available. So if we click on Dev Mode Manager over here, you can see we've got a list of options that are available to us to aid us. So we'll just run through them very quickly here. So if you've looked at the video on raising and lowering the terrain, you already have seen the hit position and the cube hit position, but we'll just run through them quickly again. So show terrain hit position, if that's checked, then it will display a red triangle around the section of the terrain that you've hit with your raycast, and it will display it for 10 seconds. And if you've got show hit cube selected, then it will do a blue outline around the cube that surrounds the piece of terrain that you've clicked on with your raycast. So if we run the game now, we can have a look at those two in action. There, so we're in the game. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we've got gizmos checked, because if you haven't got gizmos on, then you won't see the triangle or the cube in play mode, you'll only see them in scene view. So if we click now, there we can see we've got a triangle around the actual terrain triangle that we've hit, and we've got a cube outlining the piece of terrain that will be lowered. And if we do it the other way with the right mouse button, then we get the triangle again, and we get the cube showing the piece of terrain that's going to be raised. So that just helps if you're having difficulty with the raising and lowering of the terrain, so you can actually make sure that your raycast is actually hitting the right place on the terrain and which piece of terrain is going to be altered. So if we stop the game there, we can have a look at the other options. Now, as the chunks are created, they're created in multiple threads to speed up the game. However, if you've made some alterations to the code and you're seeing some weird and wonderful bugs that don't seem to have any reasonable explanation from what you've changed, one of the first things you want to do is to click no threading here, because if that's checked, it does it all in a single thread. So if your changes to the code aren't thread safe and are causing peculiar bugs, then ticking no threading will see the code without the threading, so you can see if your peculiar bug disappears. If it does, then you need to make sure you either make your changes thread safe or move them outside of the threaded part of the code. Display FPS and display chunk info, these have also got a key so that you can display them during play rather than having to remember to switch them on beforehand if you want to display them. So frames per second just displays your frames per second as you're going along, and the chunk info displays the information of the biome and the chunk's position in terms of its position on the biome map and also its world coordinates. Now, hide trees, hide rocks, hide stones, hide bushes and hide grass are all very self-explanatory, so if you were to tick those without having to change your biome data, the game would not display those particular objects. So if you need to take them out for any particular reason for testing, you don't have to keep updating your biome data, you can just use these ticks here. So leaving them ticked like that, what we should have is a very bare terrain if we run the game now. There, and now we've got a very bare terrain compared to what we had just a moment ago. And if we use the hotkeys that we just discussed, F1 will give you your frames per second, which you can see. F2 will give you the chunk position, biome map pixel position, the base terrain height and the biome name, the region type, and if it needs water to be displayed. So that's a lot of useful information for each chunk, and that will change to display info for the chunk that the player's on automatically as you move around the map. So pressing the keys again, you can take those off. That's it for this video. Check out the website for other videos on MC Terrain and for the full documentation for the package.